Now that the war is through with me, I'm waking up, I cannot see.
All right, guys, today we're going to go over how to change all the oil both in the engine and in the lower unit of Yamaha 250 SHO. So this is my Skeeter FX 20 LE 2018 model from Nautical Mile Marine here in Flint, Texas. Comes with a Yamaha. That's who actually owns Skeeter boats, and this is one of the main reasons why I love the Skeeter boats. Comes with a Yamaha motor. I've been running Yamahas for the past 10 years or so, and this is my 5th show. It doesn't burn the oil like most other brands like Mercury. The maintenance on this motor is real simple. It's real easy. You don't have an oil reservoir anywhere down here inside. Again, it's all internal on the motor. And again, this is as simple as changing your oil on a car or anything else, both for the upper and lower parts of it. But before we get started on that, I want to do a quick assessment of the tools that are needed. This is really all you need to do this is a flathead screwdriver, 4mm Allen wrench, and a pump. You also need an oil filter cap to change the oil filter off of the motor. And this is the oil that's used to change the lower unit. I'll put some kit information on where to get this stuff from and whatnot, but at the end of the day, again, this is a real simple task. It is so simple that even I can do it, right? But nonetheless, you can change all of this stuff in a matter of 15 to 20 minutes. It'll save yourself a lot of money, and you know, that's what it's all about. So if you can turn a wrench, you can do this oil change. So we'll get started here in just a second. So first things first here, I'm going to raise the motor to get my motor toter out. Right there. Just go ahead and take that off, put it up here, and then I'm going to show you how easy it is to change the oil in the actual motor itself, and then go over a couple other little tips. So first things first here, to remove the cowling, it's just 3 little clamps right around here, and you just simply pull those off. Got this clamp, and then this one right here, and again, cowling easily come off. You just go straight up with it. Be careful with these. They are made out of fiberglass. They're not made to be sat on or anything else for that matter. But again, this is real simple. Point of interest to share with you guys is number 1. This right here is your oil dipstick and the oil filter. Again, this is just like changing the car oil. So what I always like to do is to come over here on the other side and take off the oil fill cap, and it just turns and that allows you to have some breathing room for the oil to not have a vacuum inside for when it comes time to draining it. Second thing I'll do is I'll pull this filter off right here, and really just twist off. But again, if you have the clamp, or what I like to call the oil gasket, not really a gasket per se, but this thing right here just clamps on there, and you can put a socket on and wrench it off, or use your hands. But again, it fits right on there real nice and snug, and you're pretty much done with that. Simple. The other things you got to identify is where you're going to drain the oil, and that's this is the easiest part. However, it can be real messy. So what I mean by that is, to do this work properly, what you got to do is take this cover off. So it's a screw there, and then you have another screw in there and another one up there, and then this right here will come off. Okay, there's nothing down here below or anything else. And then to finish, you also have screws there and there, and this thing literally will pop off. I'm not going to do it for you because I've already changed it, but once you can take this protective cover off, there's literally a bolt right here. That one bolt, there's like an oil pan on a car or truck, whatever, and this oil will come gushing out. So you can kind of see I didn't have my oil pan over here far enough to catch it because of all the pressure that was coming out. But long and short, that oil will squirt out of there, and you know, you need to be prepared for it. Sadly, I was not. So anyhow, once it's drained, you put your nut back in there or your bolt back in there, put a little bit of oil onto your oil filter around the seal, screw that back on there nice and tight. And then here's the thing that you really got to be careful of, is over here you'll see right here on the motor how much oil is used to be replaced in this engine. So I'm not sure if you can get a good view of that, but it's basically telling you 7.1 US quarts. Okay, so when you order this kit from Amazon, which you can do, this is the oil that I always get. It is the synthetic motor oil. You can order a kit, comes with 8 bottles along with a filter, and obviously if it only holds 7.1, you don't put all of this in here. So you can maybe see how dark it is in here on this bottle, and you can see barely used part of it. What happens here is a lot of guys will overfill this thing, and it actually causes the motor to malfunction, and it can cause damage. So when you guys are doing this job yourself, just be very cognizant of the oil amount that you're putting in there. If you overfill it and it causes problems, you can void your warranty. But this is a real simple job. Again, the hardest part is taking the cowling off because it is a little bit size, as you can see here on the back of the boat. Just lay it up there and do what you got to do. And like I said, that oil change, the oil I think is about 120 bucks for the kit from Amazon. It takes you longer to take the cowling off and take this plastic cover off than to do the maintenance work on the motor, such as draining the oil and changing the filter. It's real simple, and Yamaha has really done a good job on this. And you know, at the end of the day, Yamaha has the strongest motor warranty, which is why I run with them. It's a full warranty top to bottom, unlike the Mercury's. They give you different coverages after certain years have gone by, but they're still under warranty, but it don't cover all the components like it used to. So another one of the many reasons why I continue to use Yamaha outboards. If you got any questions, hit me up, and I'll get started on the lower unit here and show you. All right, to do the lower oil, it's real simple. Let me raise the motor back up because it is a ways down there. So this is where the Allen wrench will come in handy. You have to take that protective covering off, and your 4mm Allen wrench, I know you might not can see that because of the darkness, but long and short, gets right in there and it'll lock in there, and you just loosen this little self-set screw up, and what that does is takes off this protective covering, which is on both sides of the lower unit. And this is where, you know, water will get fed into the impeller and whatnot to you know, keep your motor from overheating. Like I said, this is real simple, comes right off. Sometimes you gotta get a screwdriver to help prop that loose a little bit. But over here you can kind of see where it's already come off, and there's a screw that comes out, right? All you gotta do is shove that through there, and then this piece right here will come out. Now what you get here is 2 flathead screws. So there's a flathead screw right here, and then this flathead screw right here. And what you got to do here is loosen these 2 screws up. Number 1 gives you the vacuum, number 2 gives you a drain hole, etc. And then what we're going to do when it comes down to filling the oil back up is you pump it in through this bottom and fill it all the way up to the gear case. And then when the oil with no bubble starts coming out, that's when you know you've got enough grease slash oil in this lower unit to fill it up. It will not hold 2 4-pints, or quarts rather, which is why we have 2. So you won't use all 2 of them fully, but I'd rather be a little accessible and get all the air pockets out and fill this thing up properly instead of letting it not have enough oil and having too much air, which can also cause some running problems. So at the end of the day, again, just be mindful. There is gaskets also on this screw and this screw. You may or may not need to replace them depending on how new your motor is. This boat again is a 2018, so I'm just doing its first oil change. Got past the 20-hour mark on the power head, and again, per the owner's manual, you should replace these oils. So that's what we're doing. If you got any questions, again, please feel free to reach out. So we're going to start taking these screws out here and let the oil start coming out. Now be careful not to round these screws out. That will come back and bite you dead in the ass because it's not fun to remove those screws. Here's the other thing that you want to check for, which is why you're doing this maintenance work. You see all these little impurities here on the screw head? That's what you want to get out of that lower unit. If you don't take care of this, those little metal fragments just eat the gearing up. So make sure you're changing and doing the proper maintenance on these things, and they'll last you forever. So oil starting to come out. You can see it's still good and clear. But nonetheless, it's time for an oil change, and we're doing the maintenance per Yamaha's instructions. It's not going to come out any faster than that. It's pretty thick stuff. Again, it's lubricating this entire gear case, so you can expect it to take a little bit of time, but you'll smell the aroma of burnt oil. Again, that's by design, so just be prepared for that. So while it's still draining here, I want to go over this little pump. And what this is just a vacuum pressure push pump here that you'll push down and tighten onto a quart of oil, which this is the quart of oil right here that you need to be successful. The model, the brand, that's in the package. But what's the key about this is this little piece right here. This will actually screw in to this hole down here on the bottom, for which one of your drain plugs and screw bolts was in, and it'll allow you to put this piece here into a quart of oil, and it'll pump directly into this hole, and then fill up your lower unit. And then when you see it coming out the top up here, again with no bubbles and whatnot, then you know you've got a good amount of oil inside your lower unit. So again, just kind of be mindful of this. You do have to be kind of lightning fast, for lack of better words, to pull this or unscrew this out of here and put the other screw in there without letting a whole lot of lubricant out. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get it always 100%, just for the simple fact of gravity's not going to let you. And then number two, you're not that fast. Neither am I. But if you want to spend, you know, $600-700 to take it to a Yamaha shop, that's fine. That's generally what an oil change will charge you, is $400 to do the upper motor, and then another $150 to $250 to do the lower unit. But again, you can, excuse me, you can do all of this yourself and save yourself, you know, a couple $100. And us fishermen, especially us poor guys, you know, we want to save all the money we can and use those on baits. At least that's my preference anyway. So again, the maintenance on this thing is real simple. This is not a hard job to do in any shape, form, or fashion. And again, we're just while you're letting the lower unit oil drain, you can be changing the upper unit at the same time. So again, all of this right here would be coming off. And again, the one nut right there, there's no other nut right here in the middle of this bad boy. It's there by itself. It's there for a reason. Some guys will actually buy a pump and stick it in up there and pump it out. I'd rather not do that. That's just too time consuming, and to me it's just not efficient. You can't get all the impurities out of the oil that may be sitting down at the bottom of your reservoir while doing this kind of work. So that's just my personal preference. The other thing I like to do while I'm sitting here waiting is to oil up these pins. And what I mean by that is you just buy a big tube of heavy duty grease and just get your finger full. And what I mean by that, I mean I literally just get a finger full. That's it. That is all you're going to need. And you're going to put these right here. Grease these bad boys up. Now, I'm not a certified Yamaha mechanic, but I have had them enough to tell you that those things will dry up and they just cause some god-awful noise to be heard, like a big cracking, popping sound, and that's because all the lubrication has come and gone off of them. That happens for multiple reasons. Number one, use. Number two, the motor toters, like the Pro Rule toter that I pulled off of there, you know, the grease will get packed up inside there. And again, all you need is a little bit of heavy duty grease to remedy that. And again, that'll solve that problem of that hard popping, cracking sound where these are getting dry, rubbing up against this part right here, and this getting dry. So just get you a little heavy duty grease and you'll be done with that. So here we are. We have the pump bolted in to right there, and I know this is kind of casting a shadow, but you can kind of see how that screws in with this tube coming down to your oil. So again, as I mentioned before, you're going to be pumping some air in here, pushing oil out this top hole, which is why you want to use all of this to get that air out of there and push enough oil off the top where it doesn't have any air bubbles anymore. Chances are very high you're going to go through both of these quarts to do it, at least one and about a quarter of it to fill it all the way up without having air. So you will expend some just to get the air pockets out of there, but at the end of the day, that's exactly what you're wanting, because when you pump all this in here and it fills it up, you got to bust up on another one, and some air bubbles may get back into this hose while you're swapping out that down there. So just kind of be mindful of that. Again, just blow through them. They're there for that reason, and this is how simple this job is. All right, so we have the oil coming out now, and you can see a couple more bubbles kind of coming through there, but again, the line is full here, and you know, we're just about where we're getting ready to put the screw in. So again, here's a little gasket on here that you might need to replace. Depending on who you speak to, you should replace it every time. I'm saying that's not needed, but again, I'm not a certified Yamaha mechanic, and you know, you should do what's best for you. But you can see all the air bubbles still coming in and out, but we just about got them all now, and that's exactly what you want to do. Just pump this thing. Again, you're going to lose some oil, waste it, however you wish to word it, but at the end of the day, you're doing the proper maintenance here, getting those air pockets out of there. So make sure you're doing that respectively, okay? And I think we got most of the air bubbles out. screw back in. Well, try to put the screw back in. All right, we got both screws in. Everything's nice and clean on both sides. You got a little sand silt that makes it in there when you're fishing skinny water like I love to do. But nonetheless, just wipe that grime out of there. Again, your focus here is to treat this lower unit, get all the, pull your prop off, pull any string out, make sure everything's still aligned from a prop nut perspective, and that you didn't bend your prop shaft and things like that. It's always nice to do maintenance on these motors. Again, if you do that, they'll last you forever, just like any common vehicle will do. So all we got left to do is to finish putting these covers on, and we'll be done. So all we have to do now is put the engine cowling back on and wipe it down, and all the maintenance on the Yamaha 250 SHO will be completed. So again, this is real simple work. Doesn't take a whole lot of time. Typically, a job for one man to do, or one woman. But one person is the goal. And again, save yourself a lot of money. Do it at your convenience. Do it at the time frame for which you can do it, and all the other fun stuff. And again, it just makes life easier when you can work on your own stuff to do maintenance. And to me, I get a little enjoyment out of it at the same time. So simple as that, right? Latch things down respectively. And then it's time to wipe your fingerprints off and put your motor cover back on. So again, if you got any questions, my name is Mo. Again, I'm not a certified Yamaha mechanic by any shape, form, or fashion, but again, this is real simple maintenance that anybody can do. And like I said, 30 minutes. So thanks for watching. Have a good day. So one of the questions I get asked often, and this is not because of sponsor me or anything, is how do I polish my motor? I actually use Lucas oil, this fast and easy speed wax, and a microfiber towel. It's really as simple as squirting it on here, literally letting it sit for 10 to 15 seconds, and then I take the microfiber towel that's not what I call the fluffy side, and wipe that initial wax off as such. Get it on there really nice, rub it off of there, and then I'll go back over this area once this kind of dries up a little bit with the exact same microfiber towel, or you can grab another one for that matter, except for I'll turn it inside out of what I was just using, and I use what I call the fluffy side, and then I go in circles, kind of like the old Karate Kid movie, wax on, wax off. This definitely plays a role in getting this thing all bright and shiny, at least to me. This is how I do it anyways. It also takes care of any dirt and grime you may have on there, but this is the method that I use to keep my engine cowling clean.